was right outside our quad. They'd do the kung fu and you'd watch them do all the moves, but it was for exercise.
Now, do you see the almost a fog look?
That's when it all
That's probably 80% of the time.
the pollution.
That's
just,
the way the air
it's
is.
just coal in the air. And you made a comment, they are smart enough to know how to make, I mean, I bet half our chalk is made in China.
Right.
And we were interviewed by, because we were there the year before the Olympics came, and they were very conscious about having their face to the world and their public image. And we were interviewed by a journalist, and he said, what is your impression? How can we improve, and what can we do? And I said, I can't understand why you still use coal. I mean, half of the machines that we have over here are made in China. You people know how to do this. And he said, because there are so many of us, if we were to convert to electricity, it would have so many people out of jobs. You think of how many people are employed and needed in the coal industry and the mining industry and the cooking and the heating and everything. But they're so regimented that the heat goes on November 1st, whether it's needed or not, and it goes off May 1st, whether it's needed or not. It's just dated. That country, as big as it was, the United States has what, 4 or 5 time zones?
Yeah.
We have 1 in China. Everything operates off of Beijing, which is the headquarters of the government. So it's 8 o'clock in Beijing, but when we were in Ularuchi, 8 o'clock was pitch black. You waited till noon before you got up and opened your store, and then it stayed open until midnight.
Oh, that's how they handle it. They just
That's the way they handle it, but everything is just regimented. Everybody is just exactly the same. And I told you, the national holiday, October 1st, it's crowded. Our poor students trying to get home on trains, it was awful. And you'd think, why don't you intersperse it out? It's just all regulation and regimented. Here's another thing. This is our campus. So we had a main teaching building, but we had many dorms and many other buildings. The MBA building, science buildings, medical buildings. And it was surrounded by a river. And they fished in it, and it turned solid ice, and so they skate. But notice, the kids, the little kids will have ice skates, but these are chair skates. All of these chairs are on runners, and they use ski poles. Little ones, and that's the way they exercise. So they're out on the ice.
Did you try it?
No, we didn't. I don't know why. But this is public. Now, this was not open when we were there, but they were
just
getting
before
ready.
we left.
And they were getting
I
ready
did
for
take
the
a ride on the
Olympics.
subway.
And so they were modernizing little by little. And I think Shanghai, well, the Three Gorges Dam now is the hydroelectric dam, so they will have more electricity. They will modernize as they become influenced by the Western culture of the world. But they're slow to do it because they know they're going to have some real problems if they have idle people. This was the light rail. It was beautiful, it was clean, and I might say all of these buildings we saw are clean, but I'll tell you, they don't stay that way. When you have no private ownership, you have no owner, no responsibility to take care, and we noticed that. Their maintenance is...
custodians?
They have
Well, they do,
custodians,
but-
they do what they're... But nobody has the pride. Our kids, your students will spit, they'll throw wrappers. You have to establish a rule, and in our classroom on our board we'd say no spitting, no smoking, you know, just to establish some rules, clean up after yourself. But see, they're not taught that. They don't own it. They don't care so much. And these are the crowded buses, and boy, at times when things were out, you know, it was just very, very crowded on the buses. But those kids were so little, they'd always give Bob a seat, and then they'd give 3 more Chinese room. Now, this is the bikes. This is why I told you, I thought, no, I'll walk. I am not going to get in that crowd and risk my life. But you know what? They don't race. They're not 10-speed bikes. They're all these old, ugly bikes. They don't care. You just get in a flow and you just ride, and it's never fast. They don't race. You just go with the flow, and you learn to do it. Nobody's trying to be ahead of their neighbor. They're just
If you look on the far side of the
off.
street, it looks like a little bit of a fence.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
it's the
actually, they have
barricade.
fenced off a 1 or 2 lane bicycle
That's just for bikes.
area.
And so it's safe. It's quite safe, although I had a couple accidents.
Again, look at the air.
Yeah, see, it's
So
always
it never
hazy.
seems sunny, does it? That was
You rarely
Oh,
see.
when it did, you'd go outside and you'd say, "Oh my
Oh,
goodness!"
the
you know,
students loved it. The students would just love it too. But anyway, this is trying to cross the street. You can see the traffic. But the lights, you know, they do have lights, but the kids will come right out to the middle median. And just, I just can't believe them. Anyway, they were a lot more brave than we were. And here again, see the traffic. But see how spread out it is. You go to Hong Kong and it's like all of them live on top of each other in this small little island. But in Tianjin or Beijing, it's spread out over miles. China's huge. So you get 9 million people, but you never felt crowded.
Wow.
And then, now we'll tell you about our shopping. This was the grocery store, and we called it the alley market because it was just kind of in an alley. They didn't call it the alley, but all of us did. But beautiful, beautiful fruits and vegetables. But we always had to wash them, you know, in the bleach. And
I want to make one comment there. We would go 2 to 3 times a week to get fresh vegetables and things. And one night Connie said, "Will you go over to the market and pick up some whatever?"
well, we're getting street food. It's really
Yeah.
good.
And I went over there, and
It
none
was
of
gone.
that was there. It was all gone
They
in a
had
period of
demolished
a
it,
day.
getting ready for the
The
Olympics.
government
Oh, for
made the
heaven's
decision
sakes.
that they were going to do something else with that
But
alley.
the people knew. We didn't know. We're English
So the
speaking.
people had
But the
noticed that they
people
were being
had
moved.
noticed, and they had relocated them. The government did put them in other places, but it was just shut down and gone. And we'd go, "Where did our market go?" But this is the one that was in the village right on the campus. But here, can you see what I'm talking about? No ownership. Marble floors, beautiful stalls with beautiful vegetables, but skin them and throw them on the floor. You know, it was just amazing. Just the lack of ownership, I think. Okay. This is the fabric market. Now, I wore my Chinese thing. It was $20. When I went, I took a Coldwater Creek catalog, and they had one of these outfits. So I took it to the gal at the fabric thing. None of them speak English. She measured me. I showed her the picture. I chose the fabric. I came back a week later, and she tried it on before she totally, you know, tried it on. But I mean, every button was exactly what the picture showed. Everything was exactly
Isn't that great?
just the way. But again, the regimentation, they can do things. Bob had a pair of jeans made, and every rivet, little pocket and everything was just exactly.
And if you need it, they'll do it overnight. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
yes, yeah. A lot of tourists will go and will order a suit and have it done overnight. You're right.
But we did discover that it sure helped to have some Chinese people that knew good quality tailors.
Yes,
To take us
yes.
through.
Because when I had other things made that I really cared about, we had a tailor that one of the branch president's wife, his wife, knew, and she did an excellent job. Bob had a suit. We just put some things out. Here's a shirt he had made. They even put a U.S. label in it for $5. You know, but well, this wasn't a button down. These pants, slacks he had made out of a worsted wool, is it, or is it
Just
just
100% wool.
And $8,
Isn't that
you know.
Tailor
And
made.
he's got a 2-piece suit, I guess the suit you have on,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
$80 for a
for a 2-piece suit.
2-pant suit.
And a lot of people do that when they go, you know, to Hong Kong or Shanghai.
We really went without very much in the way of clothes because we'd heard we could buy clothes so
Cheaper, so we
inexpensively.
didn't haul it over. And this was the international market down right at the port, Tengu. And boy, in there you could buy everything that they export, but it's knockoffs. But we got North Face and the Rolex watches and all of that, but the no quality control. There's the meat market. I never bought the meat.
I wouldn't have either.
I just couldn't do it. But when I'd go to the stalls and they cooked, and what I knew was cooked and hot, we did eat it and we liked it very much. Always the bikes. Every block had a bike repairman, and he would repair things with pieces of wire and screws. They just could make do. Our watch would break, and he'd put a little wire. They'd take it apart. They could make do. with anything. They waste nothing.
Oh, they had a little electronics shop. You go in there and you'd see them working on a $4 calculator, taking it apart to repair it.
Yeah, they don't waste a thing. And here's their little dumpling. It's kind of like an English muffin, but these